Hey everyone, welcome to The Flip Side with your hosts Chris and Sean.
We're a podcast rambling about the interesting questions in the world of movement.
Hey guys, welcome back to The Flip Side podcast. Today we are looking at stuff that affects you during training, like doing when you're tricking, doing gymnastics, and there's kind of outside factors like your music or your hair, what you're wearing, maybe sometimes flexibility. Like we're just going to look at kind of everything and see how it just affects you, and at least how it's affected us.
Yeah, things that are completely aside from your skill level. Like you can normally do this trick, it's normally effortless, but today it's not, or for some reason you're stopping halfway through your combo. What is it that is holding you back that you might not realize is holding you back? Or, you have to be able to put your apples in the right basket, right? Like if having long hair is that important to you, you have to realize it's going to take away from your tricking and, all these different things. So that's what we're going to go into today. What's the first one today, Sean, that we're going to be talking about?
Well, I mean, since you already talked about hair, like I really agree with that one. Is hair and nails kind of like go back and forth with me of just being stuff that to me is an outside factor that can affect a lot. Like hair, long hair, God, I could not imagine. I've never had long hair in my life. I just had hair that went over my eyes, and then eventually I was just like, no, I hate this. I need to put it away.
You used to have hair on your forehead?
Oh yeah, I had really cringy high school pictures that I'll have to post because oh my God, it was bad.
Oh man, I have to see those because I've never seen you. I don't think I've ever seen you like without your hairstyle that you have now.
Yeah, I like it shaved and short. It's great.
Yeah, but I used to have long hair all the way down to my belt, so I know exactly. And I was tricking with that, so I know exactly what that was like. So let me tell you a quick story. Basically, me and my brother Jeff were both chasing triples. I think it was triple cork that we were both going for, and he landed it while I was putting my hair back up. So like every time I like do a pass, like it would be down or like it would be up fine, and then as soon as my feet hit the floor, it would be too much pressure and my hair would come undone. Which is fine because of like my feet would hit and I'd be like, well, when I landed, I would land it, But like I'm just aware that my hair is gonna come down. So then I cut my hair after that. But then I also started training, like doing private lessons and just like giving like help to like female trickers and gymnasts and all these people and that have long hair. And I noticed something that like Olivia Rando does it and Ashley does it. And when they're twisting, they do this thing with their head where they put it to the side, or when their feet land, they keep their head twisting instead of putting it where it's supposed to be, and it makes swings really hard. Because imagine like you have like a loose bun on top of your head, and when you land, the bun comes in front of your face and smacks you. Right?
No.
Well, it does. And so every time you land, but then when you take off, it goes back to where it's supposed to go. But like that motion of you landing really hard, like makes all of the hair go down quick and then go back up.
Ugh.
And so you put your head in a certain position so that it hits your forehead instead of your eyes, or you move it to the side, so it doesn't hit you in the eyes, or like you're just aware of that weight. So you're not looking up, because if you look up, then it's definitely hitting you in the face. So it's like, so I noticed that they're doing these things, and I started giving these tips to girls, and like I would have them tie their hair up in a certain way that was much, much tighter, or they would, I was trying to convince them to like cut their hair. I didn't get any of them to do that, but like I'm just imagining that, like, and since I've cut my hair, I noticed that my past clips have been much, much like the way I twist, like you know it, like how did you describe my twist before? What did you say it was?
Oh God, I said it looked like a fish flopping back and up and down.
And I think that was me. Every single twist, I would like turn my head funny, to like get the hair out of my eyes as I'm twisting so I can see. So I just think
that makes so much more sense.
It's a huge difference, like just being able to see so much more, not having to expect it's going to hit in your face, and then actually being able to take advantage of your full session because you're not having to tie your hair up. Like actually getting like twice as much training in because you're not tying your hair up and not worrying about it. Plus, you're not as hot. Being able to stay cool is essential.
Oh, that's great.
So what about the nails? What was it that you were talking about with nails?
Oh my God, I've ran into this before with girls. Because someone like fake nails. Fine. I really don't care if you love fake nails. More power to you. but when they get too long, and then like I've had girls where they're running and they'll like accidentally cut their leg, or they're doing like a back tuck and they'll like grab their leg and they'll accidentally like stab themselves a little bit, or they'll be doing bars or they'll be doing vault and they'll put their hand down and one finger just bends a little bit for no reason, and then they catch their nail and they just like scream, and I'm like, what's wrong? They're like, I broke my nail, and I'm like, great, why do you have long nails right now? It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I like fake nails. Fine. But it's gonna hurt, but okay.
Right. Like if you're gonna have it, then you're gonna have to deal with the consequences, because there are consequences. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do that, I feel like you're gonna hold yourself back. Or if you're not gonna hold yourself back, it is gonna be a hell of a lot of work to keep up with it, the way that you want it to be. I've had people at the gym too where there's like a girl and she does a back handspring on the beam, and then she just walks up to me and she's like, here, and just gives me one of her nails. I was like,
and you're like, oh,
thanks. Go back now.
Well, we also had one girl. Oh my god, she had long toenails.
Oh.
She just didn't cut them that often. It's whatever. I never really cared. But when she would run, sometimes she would kick her heel. Yeah. So she would always just have a nice bloody cut on the back of her foot. I'm like,
I've actually done that before.
What?
Ooh. Yeah, I have.
Oh my god, that's gross.
It's bad.
I mean, like, the other thing with hair, though, oh my god, I make this joke with the girls all the time. They're like, oh my god, my hair always gets in the way. It always just falls out of my butt. I'm like, well, I mean, my hair gets all in the way too. I mean, I just haven't shaved down now, so it's pretty great.
Your beard.
They're like,
maybe.
I'm not going to shave my hair. I'm like, all right, well then stop complaining. Not my fault.
I'm really surprised there isn't like a better way to do it up, like, because even the gymnasts that like are competing at an Olympic level, they tie it up with like 5 or 6 hair ties, a ton of hairspray, because all those the baby hairs all come out,
I know.
And it's like, that's the worst. I remember having baby hairs. I was like, my hair's all tied back. Why do I have hair in my face? It's so bad.
I just couldn't imagine tying my hair that tight, because some of them even like, oh, my hair's so tight, I'm starting to get a headache. And I'm like, why do you have it that tight? Well, I don't want it to fall. I'm like, oh, right. That sounds abysmal.
It's just something extra that you have to think about when you're trying to think about. So you're trying to focus so hard, and there's this other thing on your mind. It just doesn't work. And the next one that is very similar to hair is like clothes. What's this? Do any of the girls wear like weird clothes, or are they required to wear their Leos?
We force them to, well, I shouldn't say force, but we require that they only wear Leos when we're working out and doing stuff, because we feel like it would be dangerous. But some of the male kids that we have in class are allowed to wear t-shirts and shorts, like I used to be able to do when I worked out back in gymnastics. Is we were allowed to wear shorts and t-shirts as long as it wasn't too baggy. That was the big thing. Yeah. Because if it's baggy, it gets in the way. You're gonna do something where it's gonna get in the way. Like I remember this. One of the kids on team back when I was still doing gymnastics, he was doing, I think it was just a back hip circle on the high bar, or on the bar. Yeah, it was on high bar, and he wrapped his shirt around the bar, and it locks itself around the bar, so you can't get it off unless you somehow lift him back up over the bar, and then he can come back down, or you have to cut it off. Like, it gets that bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the same thing where people say like you can't wear any jewelry like while you're doing it, because that will get caught on equipment. It's a little different for trickers, I feel like, because we're not using any equipment. But it's also the clothes aspect comes much more into it, because the trickers want to wear cool looking clothes, because we're like, I think we think of it like a performance art much more than gymnastics is performing, but they've made it like very normal to wear what they wear. But then the trickers are like, well, makes me more my style, when they wear a certain thing. And like a lot of them like to wear baggy clothes. A lot of them like to wear like some people like to wear the long shorts, and then there's me who likes to wear short shorts and no shirt because I just want to trick. To me, it's like the same thing as the gymnastics, where it's like the moves I'm doing and the cleanliness that I'm like, exuding with my tricks is more important than what what I look like while I'm doing it. Because what it is my body. My body is what is giving you the aesthetic. Yeah. My tricks are what's giving the aesthetic, not what I'm wearing. That should not matter. Plus, I'm a bulkier guy, and like I'm shorter. I'm shorter. I'm 5 foot.
I feel that.
5'5" and 145 pounds. So I've got big shoulders, and I'm like super cut. So like but I still look huge. So when I'm wearing like any shirt that's not super tight fitting, it looks baggy on me and it
Oh
makes me
yeah.
look big. Or if I'm wearing shorts that are not above like halfway up my femur, it makes my kicks look small. It makes my legs
Yeah,
look
it
short.
does.
It's like I'm not even gonna be able to kick you because my arm's gonna reach you before my leg is. So just like the short shorts actually give my tricking a better aesthetic. And then
Yeah,
I'm just like people think of me like this powerhouse truck. Like
you are.
this rhinoceros gorilla deal. So like having the shirt off is like, all right, fine, that's my style. It's just more comfortable and I can cool down. And it's also, if I'm comfortable tricking without my shirt, then I feel like I have more control over like my body temperature also. But then
Yeah,
nothing's getting in the way. I've worn baggy shirts before. Like I was having a tramp session with a baggy shirt on because Shosei always has, he always did his twisting with like a baggier shirt because everything's baggy on
which is
him.
weird.
He's still a kid, but
Yes.
but like the shirt will come up and create this really cool twisting aesthetic. And I was trying to like do that, but I could not do more than a triple full because I have a feeling for a triple full. But I was trying to do quad, and every time I would do the triple, and then I didn't even know that I looked down at the tramp on my last twist for quad. But then when I looked down, I
Uh-oh.
just see my shirt, and I was like, I guess I looked down on the last twist of my quad. I need to take my shirt off because I don't know where I am. And then I crashed. so but then I took my shirt off, one shot at it. I was like, okay. So
So
it
no shirt.
definitely makes a difference.
Less clothes, say magnifique. Just
Yeah.
as
Way
little
better.
clothes as possible.
Right,
God.
right. Plus you're lighter, right?
Yeah.
You weigh
Oh
less.
yeah.
It makes a huge difference. And then, oh my gosh, definitely never wear socks when you trick.
No, it's
It's
terrifying.
stupid. It's stupid. If you wear socks while you're doing it, you're just gonna slip. And then people are like, yeah, but if I wear socks and then I do this trick, if it doesn't work, that means I wasn't doing it perfectly. And it's like,
No.
that's not necessarily true. Like friction is a thing. Like you can use it. Like I
Like
don't know. It's
Jesus.
just stupid. And in tricking especially, like in tumbling you might be able to make an argument for it, but in tricking it's like you're doing these one-legged things. Like you really need friction. You really need to
Yeah,
not
you
come
do.
down perfectly straight. There's so much odd transfers of energy. There's so much like weirdness going on with with all your angles and everything, and you're having one limb down and you're gonna wear socks right now. I don't
No.
think so. I've done it where I actually do enjoy wearing socks when I trick outside on the grass because it's not slippery. Like my socks actually grip the dirt better.
Yeah.
Or like, but then, and I don't get like mud in my toes and stuff like that. But like I've had sessions where like I start the session with socks on, it's really good. And then I take the socks off halfway because they get too dirty to continue. But
I get
it's
that.
like, if I'm slipping, immediately taking them off. Like it
Oh
is
yeah.
just not something I'm going to mess with. What about
I mean,
glasses? Oh, I just thought of that. What about glasses?
well, we do have a couple girls that are, oh my god, they're blind as a bat. But I mean, they have
Ooh.
to wear their glass. I've recommended to them wearing their glasses because some of them will show up to practice and not wear glasses, and they always squint or they're doing stuff, and I'm like, do you see where you're going? They're like, no. I was like, do you wear glasses? They're like, yeah. I was like, why aren't you wearing them now? Like, if you
Right.
need them in everyday life, you should probably be wearing them.
When you're upside down and twisting, I think you get like a split second to see things. You
And
really need good vision for that.
you want your brain to have as much information as possible. So if you can't see, you're giving your brain way less information.
Yeah.
I tell
But what
them
about
they
do
have
like
glasses
contacts though?
straps. Well, some of them get contacts if they're old enough. I think that's an age thing. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
is it an age thing? I don't know.
But I know that also they have glasses straps. And I just tell them, like, just go get a glasses strap. Like,
Yeah.
they will stay on your face then. I mean, I
As
don't want them to
nerdy as
fall
they
off.
look, they work, right?
Yeah. Would you rather see or would you rather die? I'd
Yeah,
rather
that is pretty much the options there. Andrew Court has really bad vision, and he's got these like thick glasses, but he doesn't like to wear glasses when he tricks. Like he cannot, they just fall right off his face. I don't think he's ever done a glasses strap, but he normally wears contacts. But there are times where he's
oh,
gone to the session because he didn't know he was going to go, and he doesn't have his contacts, so he tries to trick without him, and he's doing
God.
it's actually funny. His kicks are way better. Like his kicks are very good already, but his kicks are extremely good when he doesn't have contacts or glasses in because he can't see them. So he kicks and he's like, it's not good enough. I can't see how good it is, and then he makes it even better. But then he tries to do like a dub swing and eats it.
He's like, oh, I didn't know where I was.
Right, like it's because the timing for that is so much different, and then especially like because like even if you can do a dub swing dub and you're like you don't normally have to look because you're comfortable with it. Now you can't see, so now you're like nervous, you know?
Oh yeah.
You're like I don't normally look, but now I'm gonna look and I'm gonna assume I'm not gonna make it because there's no like if I'm gonna fall, I won't know. And if I'm gonna land it, I won't. Yeah, right. No visual cues, no like actual triggers that give you the information that you need. But if you felt it out, it would be the same. But it's just not enough.
I also hate sweatshirts while doing stuff.
Ooh,
because the hood gets in your face when you land and you're like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I don't understand it at all. Jeff sure does tramp in sweatshirts. He does like quads and he does like crazy swing chains, just double flips with sweatshirts. He warms up for like the first 20 minutes in a sweatshirt doing just massive tricks. Like, what are you doing? How do you do this? I don't know.
Man.
Like, I don't know how he does it. I have no idea. It's just crazy to me, and I'm really jealous of it because it looks cool. You know, like he goes, he chews gum and wears a sweatshirt while he tricks because he goes, yeah, I like just like landing a trip and then like casually chewing gum and like walking back with my hood up. Like it just like looks like I did nothing. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Jeff, confirmed psychopath, likes chewing gum and wearing a hoodie while flipping. No.
Yeah, totally.
God. Oh, so how do you feel about music?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not gonna say any names, but sometimes we go to the session and it gets the music gets switched to, you know, because people want to take turns. That's fine. So, you know, we're playing like really hard music. It's going good. Like I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's just me going hard and tricking well, but then someone wants to change the music, and then and then my session vibes go down the drain because we're listening to like dubstep with no words, or we're listening to, oh my gosh, one time this guy we walk into the session and like this lullaby music was playing, and I was like, what is this? And he goes, oh sorry, I just took a Benadryl, I'm really tired. I was like, okay, get off aux, like you're not gonna trick. Like then you're not on aux. Like that
if you're not doing anything, you're not.
You do not deserve to be on the aux. That's not fair, you know. But like, it matters so much. Like, and the bass to me is like super important, or the words. You know, if I know the lyrics to the song, it's really important because then, like, I don't. A lot of people like to do like tricks on the drop, right? Like they land a triple cork on the drop. But then I'm doing my triple cork and I'm like listening instead of focusing. So what I like to do is I like to hear the drop and then I get this like boost of power and then I send my trick, you know?
God, music, man, it gets you. Because I mean, that's like the other day where I had a couple of girls that were doing Sooks into the Pit on some extra matting, and they just stopped. And I was like, why are you stopping? They're like, well, there's no music. I can't go. And I'm like, you'll be fine. They're like, no, I just don't. It's not the same. So we stood there for like almost 2 minutes. And I'm like, all right, go turn something on because you're not going. Like, let's go.
Well, no, it's so legit though. It's so legit. Like, people will be all around the floor, right? And triggers are really good about taking turns with each other. And so we're all looking around the floor, and then two people notice that they're like, you know, ready to go, you know, and they're like, one of them points at the other, and they're like, you go, and I'm like, okay. So I'm about to go, and then the music, like the song is changing, and I'm like, okay, sorry, one sec. The song starts back. I'm like, okay, ready. Like, you can't just start like on not a note. I don't know. Like it's just so hard. Like, because it's like when it's not going, it just seems too quiet, and it seems it seems like there's no the vibes. It matters so much. The vibes of the session matter so much. Like if we're at a gathering, another thing. This is actually really interesting. It kind of has to do with the music. Is like people will be doing like maybe lining dub, right? So someone will like do a dub, and then someone's like, yo, I got dub. They do a dub, and people are like, oh shit, we're lining it. And then the next person does a dub, and then someone else walks out and does like like they're just like training or warming up and they do like gainer and you're like, what the fuck? And then someone else does a dub dub and then you're like, okay, why did he do that? Like
why did you break the chain?
Right, like that was not a good time. And then or like he does the gainer and then the next guy who does the dub dub crashes it and you're like, that's his fault. It's all his fault. He did that. Like it doesn't make sense. Or like people, everyone's doing like vert kicks and like jackknife is like the big theme right now. Like it doesn't, like that's just the vibe of the session. And then like someone walks out and does G switches times 10 and you're like, okay, that's cool, but like we were all just grinding these out and it was so much fun, and now like it's hard to get back into that. Everyone's like in this mindset. You should push that and you should like embrace it and embrace what it feels like instead of just like crushing it for everyone. And then you probably are like the guy who does that too, who doesn't understand the vibes of the session, usually walks out, does the one trick and then doesn't trick again for 30 minutes. Like it's usually those kind of people.
And you're like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah, like they just don't get it. Like they don't understand. Like it's usually new trickers, or it's usually people who are like at a lower level who don't understand how the food chain works.
I get it. Oh, have you ever had a song that everybody feels like is it's kind of like a superstition where you always hit your routine, or like you always hit a really good combo to a very specific song?
Yeah. Rip Roach?
Yeah.
Okay, I landed my first snatch cannon to that. I sent like my first my first 5 of them to that song, and then I was gonna send it to a different song, Hammer Time, but then I was like, Eric, change it back, and he changed it back, and then I landed it, and I was like, yes. Like the one it was playing, and I tried to go, and I couldn't flip it. Like I did a cork, and I was like, I can't do it to the song. We have to go back. So we went back and we just kept replaying the song over and over and over again.
Oh, I get that.
And then I landed it. And then I was at a session with Ethan when he was throwing Snatch Cannon, and then he threw Snatch Cannon and landed it. And then I tried it and I didn't land it. And then I was like, hey, can we play that song? And then they played it and I landed it. And I was like, yep. Like it's
just a magic song.
Well, like it's the same thing that I was saying before. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be that song. It just has to be a song that really gets me going and like gets me in the zone, gets me pumped up. Like a song I know the lyrics to, a song that has good bass, a song that has like a ready go. Like, and then you're like, all right, I'm going. Like, like when I was doing Snatch Cannon, something I was doing a lot was like taking cold showers. And so like it's like what I kept saying there is like it's the cold shower mentality. Like when you have the cold shower going and then you're ready to jump in and you're like, I don't want to do it, and you're like 1, 2, 3 go, and you just do it and it sucks like so much. It's like the same thing. It's like you're tricking and you're like, this move is gonna suck or it's gonna be awesome, but it's gonna be so nerve-wracking this whole time until I go. And you're like 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm doing my spin step. Like this better go well. Like we're stopping now. There's so like that's how it is in tricking. Like not that, like I get it in tumbling, but you guys use so much equipment, to like work up to it. So like I get it, but like for tricking, I feel like it's way more like we need that drop, and then we're like, all right, I'm risking everything.
Well, the thing is, like so there was one song that would always play in the gym every once in a while, and it was from Rise Against. I think it was either Savior or Prayer of the Refugee. Where if it started playing, everybody was like, all right, it's routine time. Because 9 times out of 10, you would hit your routine to that song. It would always happen. Like 9 times out of 10, like not because we used to just do routines as fast as possible during the song. Just because we're like, all right, like this is the song you hit your routine to.
So like, everyone has to go.
Guaranteed. It was funny. Like, oh my God. It was magic. Wow. Oh, I loved it. But
that's really cool. It's almost like you can't let them down. It's like this song is playing, don't let them down because you're gonna break the chain.
Mm-hmm. Well, then the big thing was we had a weird music kind of like we didn't really just listen to one genre exactly. It wasn't that we were just like taking turns. It was some days we'd be listening to more classical music. Some days we'd be listening to more rock music. Some days we'd be listening to more hip hop. Some days we would listen to like heavy metal, and then there was Christmas time where my coach would play one specific Christmas CD, and that's all that played for a whole month.
Oh my gosh!
And then right around Halloween, he had another CD that he would only play that CD for like 2 weeks.
No, that's bad.
Oh, it was hilarious.
That would make my training go down the drain.
We started like memorizing it at that point because we were just like, all right, it's this song. All right, then it's this song.
Ew, I know, I hate that. Like, I have to play things on shuffle, otherwise I know what song comes next. I don't like
God.
that.
Gene loved that Christmas music CD. He played it every single year without fail. It
That's
never
so
broke.
bad.
It never got scratched. And we were like, oh, it's Christmas music time. We're like, all right.
You should have done a backflip right into that radio. What about this one? What about your mood? That's a huge one.
Oh, if I go in to practice in a shitty mood, it is sometimes so hard to get out of that funk because right during warm up, I'm just like, God, I don't want to be here. Like, what am I doing? And then if I go to my first event and my first event was like at least decent, it would start me to get out of that funk. But if I just had a really, really crappy day on that or a really crappy like session on that first event, I would just be like, all right, kind of pissed. Like,
Yeah,
nothing's
like, oh
changing
well,
today.
I'm not gonna try on the rest of these. No,
Like,
that's
this
really
sucks.
interesting. I think it's the exact opposite for most trickers, or at least for me. In gymnastics, it makes sense because it's like you have to be clean, you have to be, you have to hit your things correctly, and it's like, it's more like you're going through the thing, and it's like if you mess it up, it just makes you so much more angry than it would
Yeah, because
normally if
you're like,
you're in a bad mood.
I messed that up.
Oh my gosh. But for me, it's like I'm in a bad mood and I'm like, I've been mad all day. And then I go to the session, I'm like, thank God I'm in a bad mood. People like come up to talk to me, I'm like, don't fucking talk to me. And then I'm tricking, I'm like, that was the easiest like swing chain to cork snap I've ever done. And I just stomp it and walk back to I'm like, geez, I'm powerful. And I just like I hope someone does. Like someone pull up right now. Like I swear to God. Like it just makes like it's so much easier when you just don't care. Like I'm so angry and I have so much more power and I'm just like sometimes I'm go to the session I'm like this better take less than 5 tries. Like this should be easy. I don't want to waste time on this. I don't want to waste my energy on this. But when I'm angry, I'm like I don't care how long this takes. Like fine, I crashed. Fine, like I'm good. I have so much energy. Like I have so much. Like it's so much easier to put so much more into every single trick. And I don't know, like a lot of it is muscle memory. So like my muscles go through the memory, they hit the spot, and then I extend harder because I can. And it's like so yeah, there's that. But then there's also the other side of it too, where you're having a happy trick session, and then you're focused on technique, and then when you put those two together, and you're kind of like an in between sort of state, then it's like you can be powerful. You're just like in the zone, but you're not angry at anything. It's like there's like that other part of it. It's almost like a warrior mentality. Like you're not angry, but you're just like defending your honor kind of thing. It's like how I kind of trick.
Well, that was the thing where since now I don't do gymnastics as much and I want to, but I had a couple of gymnasts, I think it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, give or take. We have days that we call flip days where the girls that are doing their flip vaults have to do flip vaults, and they usually only get like 1 or 2 warm-up turns, and then they're just like flipping one after another.
Yes.
And we were flipping onto competition height into the pit, and they were standing them up every time, and I was like, oh my God, like this is getting me so hyped. We're having such a good day. And it was like their first or second event, and then we had bars after that. And then they were working really hard on bars, and they were getting stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, like this is good. And then we get the floor, and they start doing upgrades, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, today was a great day.
Nice.
Like, that's what I look forward to. And then I come in the next day, and they're like, oh, I'm dead, I can't do anything. I'm like, damn it. Come on.
Right. That's funny too. Like when you're on a team, that also is interesting too. I bet it's pretty similar with tricks too. For me, I used to not be good at this, where like someone would come in and like come to the session and they would be like, negative and just whining about everything. Like, oh my gosh, this doesn't work today. Like this is what I wanted to train, or like, oh my gosh, this music sucks. And like, it would really get to me. And I'd be like, you're right. It does suck. And you're like, wow, that doesn't work for me either. But it used to be like that for me, where like one person would complain and then the entire session everyone was complaining and like nobody seemed to be able to get anything. But then now it's very different. Like I don't know, maybe it's like I'm very confident in my tricks, so when I am going and someone's like, oh, this trick doesn't work for me, I'm like, sucks for you. And then I do my trick. Like it's like well, I'm not you, so that's too bad. And like I'm just very good at creating my own like atmosphere. So
Yeah.
I like, yeah, it's good. It's very good to do that. So I think, but I understand that like that can definitely happen with your girls, like on, because they're on
Oh,
a
following
team
the herd
and
mentality.
they are training with each other. Yeah. I mean, they're taking turns on the same event. And then it's like one person messes up and then they're like, well, maybe I'll just mess up too. Like, I'm not going to try that hard,
Yep.
because the person didn't try that hard and nothing happened to them. So why do I try hard?
Oh yeah,
Just like,
that is one thing that happens all the time. If one person stops trying, I will usually get one or two people ask me, "Well, why do I have to try if they don't?" I'm like, "That's not how this works."
you're like that would be that's like it's such a weird thing. Like that does not happen in tricking at all because people struggle so hard to get to the sessions. Like
Yeah.
they're like, we get this time and this is it. And they're like, I'm going to use this to the fullest. And then there's the cheer girls who are there, or I'm not sorry, the gymnastic girls who are there, and they're like, I'm here all the time. This is normal. I don't feel like I have to. It's like their routine. And
Yeah.
I guess it's part of the trickers routine too. But it's like, I don't know, the gymnastics girls, like, they're given the gym, like the gym is for them, and like
Yeah.
the trickers feel like the secondary, like where the runners up, we are allowed to use the gym today,
And
not
it
all.
technically is in a way because
It
I
is,
think
it
most
is totally.
gymnastics gyms just let. I mean, it makes sense for gymnastics wise, but at the same time, I wish there was just a gym that they would just dedicate to doing tricking. Like I think what is it? Bob Reese has that gym where it's like parkour and tricking, and that's pretty much literally it. Or
Yeah,
like ninja
yeah,
stuff too. Like
right.
that. Oh,
Very,
that would
very
be
cool.
great. We just
But
need
I'm sure that there's people who go there too. I mean, and around here in Colorado, the sessions are pretty big, and there's a lot of trickers who go, and that mentality does exist because there are people who go just to hang out, and they just watch, or they just do a couple tricks. They're not there to get better; they're just there to hang out with people that you know, that have a similar interest as them, even though they're interested, and it's a hobby. It's not like their life
it's not
goal,
their
like
passion.
some right, not their passion. There we go.
I get you. So how
Yeah.
do you feel a good floor or a stiff floor or grass? Like does
Ooh.
that really I know grass makes a huge difference, but like a
Yeah.
stiff floor to a good floor.
That's a really good one. Okay, so um, this is interesting. So if I go to a really good floor, it might be a really good session, but I have to go in with no expectations or realistic expectations, or I
Ooh.
have to be going in with crazy expectations and be okay when I dumb them down because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that is how that has to work. If you go into a floor that's bad, you have to. That's the worst. I hate a bad floor because whenever I go to a bad floor, all I do now is drill. I go to the bad floor. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drill this. I'm gonna drill this connection. I'm gonna drill this trick. I'm gonna drill this technique. For this kick or whatever. Like it's like I can't go there to trick normally because I'm gonna be like, this is a spring floor. What's wrong with me? Like it does not give the push
No.
that a spring floor should give. When it's a bad floor, and then you go to grass. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to trick normally, but I know this is grass. So it's like training on the bad floor. It's the exact same, except you don't have the spring floor mentality. You're not like, this
Oh.
is a spring floor. You're like, I know it's not a spring floor, so I'm just going to do what I can do, and you have to be okay with it. And it's more about having fun and figuring out your connections and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
And then or maybe like a combo that's easy on the spring floor. See if you can do it on grass, and then if you can, maybe level it up and see if you can do the exact same ones. Or like maybe a higher one. And just finding, because it's harder and it's very different. I love how swings feel on grass, but it's not preferred. It's just
Yeah.
different. And yeah, but that you just, the spring floors that are different, you really got to have a good, like, you've really got to be mentally prepared for the change, because you can't go in with expectations because it's very different.
No, that's true. I mean, we do that at competition because when we're working out at our home gym, I mean that floor is used more often than just that spring floor that they bring for competition. So the springs, the panel boards that they're using, like the foam, everything at a competition is a little bit stiffer, so then it'll just bounce better as long as you hit it hard. Where at the gym, it's just a little bit softer. So even though you hit it the same, it just has a completely different feeling than when you're at the meet. When you're at the meet, you're like, oh my God, I'm flying so much higher than normal. It's like,
Oh, really?
oh,
Oh,
it's
I did.
new springs.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious about what that feels like because I don't really know the difference between new and old.
Yeah.
But I do know the difference between like stiff and not stiff, but we have a floor that is stiff and it's not good. Like they're new springs, but they have cheer mats on top instead of
Oh,
normal. So it's like it's so heavy to hit it, and when you hit it, you get the same or worse bounce. It's
yeah,
like
that sounds
but you have
awful.
to hit it so much harder. It's just not good.
No,
Plus, it's like only 3 lanes. It's only 3 cheer mats long.
huh?
And I was like,
That's
oh, like
that's
so
really short.
it's really hard to trick. It's really hard to trick on it because tricking likes to like curve around, and you don't
Yep.
want to start on the left because then you might travel to the left. You don't want to start on the right because you might travel to the right. So you start in the middle and then you travel to the left and you're like, crap, I should have started on the right. Then you start on the right and then you do travel to the right. And you're like, well, crap. So you
Damn it.
don't know. Tricking's
Well,
just too crazy.
and that's the thing that I like about going to competitions also for vault. Oh, their springs. Ooh. I have so many girls vault better at competitions just because the springs are just a little bit stiffer. So I can technically put in less springs but get the same or better spring on their springboards. And I love it so much.
Nice. It doesn't mess them up like the timing, like it's all the same. Do you guys get to warm up on their equipment?
Yeah, so when we do competitions, we warm up before we compete. So
Okay,
that's the
sweet.
big thing. So we get used, so we kind of get a feel for it, but you're just not like,
Yeah.
technically used to it. So they're used to hitting something that's a little bit softer, maybe. So then when they hit it with that same gusto, all of a sudden you get exponentially more power, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
I know exactly what that feels like. I know.
So how? So gymnasts, we already rely on flexibility, and we
Uh,
use it all the time. How do you see that more as like? Would that be an outside factor for you guys?
yeah, I think that's definitely an outside factor that affects our tricking. I think a lot of trickers believe that flexibility is injury prevention, not necessarily part of tricking. Like, because you don't have to be good at kicks to trick. You don't have to be good at
True.
swings to trick. You get to choose what you get to be good at, which means that you get to choose what kind of body functions that you have that you're good at. Like you're not good at
Huh.
roundoff or cartwheel, fine, do swings. You're not good at swings, okay, do kicks. And it's not that you're not, because you're never good at everything. You're never good at anything. You have to learn it. So what do you want to learn? And if people don't want to learn flexibility, then they don't. It's just mostly an injury prevention thing. And actually, so Eric is a perfect example of this. He is, and also Original Bean. They are they're both very dynamically flexible, but they both say that they cannot like static stretch. They're very, very bad at it. Like Eric can barely touch his toes, and he like,
Eric can
yeah,
barely touch his toes,
yep. Eric can barely touch his toes. He has the worst flexible
bro.
hamstrings ever. But when you gotta go check out Epicness 181 on Instagram, and you will see his kicks on there are
Oh
so
yeah,
big,
huge.
so flexible, massive because he's been doing martial arts since he was 4 years old. And so his dynamic flexibility and his range of motion is phenomenal. But then when you try to see him static stretch and like even the straddle, even like a pike, like anything, and then you're like, what? Like I can go farther than you. Why are your kicks on it? It's because
That
they're two
makes
different
no
kinds of
sense.
flexibility. But that's another thing is like if I don't know if I don't know which I believe static stretching is much more injury prevention than dynamic flexibility. Like if you did a cork and you fell in the splits by accident or you fell wrong in the splits, would that damage you if you are dynamically flexible? I think it
Hmm.
still would because I think that it's a jarring motion. But warming up
Yeah.
definitely makes a difference because the thing I think that makes the difference, I'm not 100% sure about this. I'm just throwing it out, but I think that because you are forced into that position and you're not using your own muscles to do it, I think that's how dynamic flexibility works. You need your own muscles to move it.
Hmm. That's interesting because we've been working lately more along the lines of doing, I guess you would say it's more dynamic flexibility, where we'll do like forward roll into left leg split, forward roll into middle split, forward roll into right leg split, and then just try to push it down as hard as you can and then hold it statically for like 5 seconds. But I guess I
Yeah,
kind
so
of consider
combining
that
them.
more dynamic. But that's
I think
because
it's a
like,
combination of both. Yeah, I think that's super super good.
yeah, I have recommended doing that because I've seen more results from it and reading a couple studies here and there. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on it, but it seems like it works better than just doing static stretching because I did static stretching for 13 years. And I mean, granted,
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
think
really stretched in 9 years, but like I can't stretch as far as I used to.
yeah, in my experience, static stretching is much more about rebalancing your body than it is about like gaining flexibility. But I think a combination of both does gain you flexibility faster. But I've seen the studies where they do static stretching and dynamic stretching, and then the static stretchers either keep the same flexibility or even lose a little bit, and then the dynamic stretchers gain flexibility always. So
that's weird.
Yeah, but I don't know what their flexibility tests are either. So that also makes a difference. Like, are they doing dynamic stretches and then testing their static flexibility? That's what I'm guessing, but I don't know. So maybe they're doing both. Maybe they have a dynamic flexibility test and a static for both of them. But we have to look into that. Maybe we'll have a podcast on that one. That would be a good episode.
Which works better.
Right. Or like even the breakdown of it. But is there any other outside factors that you can think of? Oh, I have one.
What?
Females at the session. Or in your girl's case,
I guess
attractive male.
Seeing it as a gender that you're attracted to. Yeah, I get what you mean. That definitely can sway things.
If my girlfriend's at the session, I definitely trick harder.
You definitely want to show off. Oh, I get that.
Yeah.
But I've had it where I've had girls in the past, like their like boyfriend will show up, or like some guys will be watching.
Oh,
and then they don't try as hard.
Oh, what?
And I am always confused. I'm like, why?
Oh, like, that's exactly.
It just feels weird, and I'm like, I mean, I get that. Like, I really do.
I think that makes sense, because if they try hard and mess up, then they're embarrassed. If they don't try, then they can't be embarrassed because they're like, oh, they just laugh it off, kind of thing. That's different, probably because they're younger.
I feel like
here's another really cool thing about that too is so when I go with Christy, we go to the gym and she'll be like, I want to see Shurikane. I'll be like, what the heck?
You're like, wait a second.
Like, I can't do that right now. And she's like, I want to see it. And then I have to try.
You're like,
you're like, all right, you got it. If I break it, you're icing it. You better call the ambulance for me. This is on you. But yeah, like we were at the gym last night. We were just having a tramp session, and we walk in and we're just warming up, and she goes, dub box. And I was like, okay. And then I throw a dub box, and then someone at the tramp was like, oh my gosh, no wonder you're so good. Your girlfriend has such high expectations of you. And I was like, yeah, we train together. It makes us better. So
she's like, do this. And you're like, okay, here we go.
She's like, triple full swing, triple full. And I was like, sure. Like, I'll try. Oh, I did double back swing the other day. Like, I was like, sure. I don't know. Like, and I tried and I got it.
Double back swing?
Yeah, swing gainer. It was just on tramp. It was just on tramp. Guess what? It was so easy. It was really easy. I'm gonna do double back swing double gainer, I think.
Oh my god, Chris.
I have one leg. I have one leg, not
one
two.
leg, 4 flips.
Yeah. My right leg is just a third arm.
God. Oh, that'd be nuts. Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Do you God, I really can't think of many other outside factors. What is something else? Ooh.
Oh, what you ate.
Yes, I was about to say the same thing. What food?
Perfect. Jeff actually just told me the other day he had eaten like a large Dairy Queen Blizzard right before his session because it was like a ice cream coffee thing, and he's like, I just wanted a bunch of caffeine and sugar right before my session. I was gonna get me hyped up, but he recently he recently just went vegan. Me and Christy convinced him to try it, and he's obsessed with it, and it's helping him a lot. But then he was like, I'm here. Like, he was like, in the area, and he was like, I think he was going right to session, and he didn't have an energy drink. So he's like, I'll just grab something from here. And he's like, I used to get these Dairy Queen Blizzards all the time. And then he got it, and it made him so sick to his stomach. And like, he said it actually wasn't so bad on his stomach, like, because he doesn't have any issues. That he didn't go vegan because he has stomach issues. He went vegan like for the health benefits of it, and because it gives you more energy and everything like that, and like makes you heal better, all that stuff. And so he is just trying that out. So he said he just felt so full because like when you eat vegan, like you have a full meal and your body can just absorb the nutrients way easier than it does when it like breaks down other types of food. So he had that and he goes, oh my gosh, I needed to take a nap. He's like, I didn't get the caffeine and the sugar rush like I thought I would. It just made me feel tired. It was just so much food. It's interesting.
Well, like we've always been kind of on the thing of don't eat anything too heavy, because if you do, it just feels like it weighs you down and it sucks. Like I will never forget this mistake. I did a PT test, and for some reason during lunch that day, I had 2 helpings of biscuits and gravy, and orange juice, and that did not sit well in my stomach after doing a 2-hour PT test.
Do you ever throw up from working out just because you ate something wrong?
That's what happened.
Yeah, you did.
It was all in my car. It was so bad. And it was raining outside, and I just finished this test. I felt like absolute horseshit. And I pulled into the driveway. I couldn't even open the door fast enough.
No.
It just exploded all inside of my car. The smell wouldn't go away for days.
That's so bad.
Because it got to the vents.
Oh my gosh, I would literally like sell my car. It was. Oh my gosh. The one time that happened to me, I was like having a really bad day. So then I went to I had like a Y membership back in Wisconsin, and so I went to the YMCA, and I don't run like a lot. Well, I guess I run a lot, but like I would run like not more than a mile to like 3 miles. And I went to the Y, and I was just like super like pissed and like having a bad day. And I ran like 5 miles, and I was like, wow, that was easy. And then I went downstairs and like had some like oranges and some water. And then I went back up and ran 5 more miles, and then I puked my oranges and water up. So like there's like a thing between like, you know, eating too heavy but also eating too light, or like too many liquids. Like you gotta have some, or like maybe not. Like I immediately ran again after I ate that, and like the whole run I was fine, but as soon as I stopped I was like, whoa, what the heck?
And probably the acidic. No.
Yeah, could be. But now what I do is I'll, if I'm having a session day, like I'll eat like my normal breakfast. I usually just have like oats and berries and like an apple with peanut butter or something. And then for lunch, I make my lunch like much bigger than normal. And then I come home and I make supper, and I have like half my supper, go to session, have the rest of my supper. So like but normally I would just like at the time that I eat half, I would just eat the whole thing, you know, if I wasn't going to session. But and like I've tried like where I eat the whole thing and I go to session and I just feel like you know, I just can't. I like to feel hungry when I'm at the session. Also, I don't know if I've ever. I think I've told you this, but like we're tricking me and Eric, and then we'll be like outside, and it's like, you know, like 80 something degrees out, and we're just burning up, and it's hot, and we're sweating, and we're trying to do this trick, and then we like yell at ourselves. We're like, you're like, hey body, you're pretty tired, aren't you? You're sweating pretty hard, aren't you? You want water? And then we send the pass again, because we're like, well, you don't get any until you provide. So you have to like, so it's the same kind of thing. Like I'm at the session and I'm starving. I'm so hungry because I didn't eat like as much as I normally eat by that time, but I like it because I feel lighter and I'm not, you know, and I think that's how our bodies are meant to be anyway. Like when you like, you know, like how the body is meant to do like persistence hunting. You've heard of that, where like you chase down you like run after like antelope, and then it has to take a break, and then you catch up to it and it sprints away, but you're just doing like a casual run after it, and then it slows down, catches breath again, because they can't sweat, so they have to stop to cool down, and you just do that until it dies because it overheats. And that's how our bodies are like built, and to like persistence hunt like that. So so we do that on an empty stomach because we haven't eaten and we need to, you know. We do our exercise not after we've eaten, it's when we're hungry. So it's actually kind of funny, like it feels right. But then also like I'm tricking and I'm like, you want that Thai dish when you get home? You want those noodles? You better provide right now. You better put out.
Put out or shut up.
Right. It just like, it gets me motivated. I'm like, you have so much good food at home. Gosh, throw this trick. You know, just something to look forward to, you know, keep me in a good mood while I'm at the session too, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it. Anything else you can think of?
No, how about if any of you guys can think of any, throw it in the comments. Maybe we'll have a episode 2 of Outside Factors, so that we can make another one and help you guys out, and maybe help you plan your sessions better and have better sessions because knowing all the factors.
Oh yeah, and I hope they're really obscure because there could be some really funny ones.
Yeah, obscure ones are better.
Like, what if there's clowns? Who cares?
Then I'm gonna practice the best jackknives I've ever done in my life to keep them at bay.
Don't forget to follow our socials at Zidane Cloud on Instagram for me, Sean.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's Crispy Tricks on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, Tricks Fix, TRIX space FIX, for more tutorials and other things.
And we'll see you guys next time.